don't feel like going home, but all my cash is gone. Yeah, I got nothing to do tonight.
Right now, it's time for Tom Maioli's Go Big or Go Home show. Tom Maioli's Go Big or Go Home show will explain how you can start a business, grow your business, fund your idea, or the next multi-million-dollar invention, or how to buy that piece of real estate you've always wanted. Now's your chance to hear it live, right from the serial entrepreneur. It's Tom Maioli's Go Big or Go Home show. Here's Tom Maioli.
Go big or go.
Hi, it's Tom Maioli, serial entrepreneur, high above the towers of Madison Square Garden, and we're back Sunday evening for the Go Big or Go Home show. You know, week after week, it just keeps getting better and better and better. The emails are flying in. The website, people are hitting the website and social media, and it's absolutely incredible. And, the show just gets better and better. You know, we've had guests from the amazing Kreskin. We've had Gary Sheffield on the phone, on the air, former New York Yankee, entrepreneur, businessman. Week after week, we had Arshita Furman on last week, who had the most Guinness Book of World Records for breaking the most Guinness Book of World Records. Week after week, it just gets better and better and better. And this week is going to be really incredible because we have a special guest coming on this week. One of the themes here is we talk about go big or go home week after week, and we talk about how do you get out there and live your dream? How do you get away from fear? How do you, I talk about getting out behind it from the desk in corporate America, going and living your dream, following your dream, building wealth. How do you do it is the question. And most people are frozen. They have fear. Fear is the thing that holds everyone back, today, last week was interesting because when we had Arshita Furman on the phone, Guinness Book World Record breaker, he talked about how he breaks away from fear, okay, and how he just eliminates the fear in what he does. Anyone that can do 27,000 jumping jacks somehow you got to disconnect your mind from it. But today we're going to talk about what makes people have no fear and what makes people have no fear of risk as an entrepreneur, and what makes an entrepreneur have no fear of risk. And again, we talked about Arshita Furman, 27,000 jumping jacks. He talked about how he does it through meditation and gives it off to a higher power. Well, today we're going to talk about having no fear of risk at all. And whether you're a Guinness Book of World Record holder doing 27,000 jumping jacks, or whether you're a daredevil jumping 277 and a half feet, setting an official Guinness Book of World Records, or you're an entrepreneur starting a company, making a real estate investment, to me, it's all the same. And this week, we're going to have a special guest on because we have the king of Go Big or Go Home. It is motorcycle daredevil, Trigger Gum. Trigger talks about, and you read up about him, how he grew up and his idol was Evel Knievel. By the way, one of my idols, Evel was one of my idols. I actually, as a classic car collector and memorabilia collector, I have his jumpsuit, his boots, his helmets, his motorcycle. Absolutely amazing. Trigger played with Evel Knievel toys when he was a kid. And he dreamed of being a daredevil. And, interesting enough, his story, and when he gets on the air, we'll talk about it, is, he said if you listen to most people when he grew up, they told him he'd never be a daredevil. They actually called him, you dumb kid, and you won't do anything. And he said, they told him, kid, there's no way you're going to make it. You know how many times, and he said, how many times I've heard that? And he says, many times as I heard it, I ignored it. It's as impossible as it is, okay? Impossible is not in a daredevil's vocabulary, nor is it in an entrepreneur's vocabulary. And that's really what I'm trying to get across week after week, is impossible shouldn't be in your way. There's always a way. There's a way to finance a deal. There's a way to get a deal done. You know, people start businesses with no money. And you say, how do you do it? You know, you go out there and you get investors. You get people to back your idea. You put your business plan together. You go out there and people will invest in your ideas. They'll invest in your real estate ideas. They'll invest in your development deals. They'll invest in your company deals. You know, that's what Shark Tank is all about. You know, and I said this week after week, if you like Shark Tank, you're going to love this show because this really tells you how people do it. You know, Shark Tank, they stand in front of people, they try and raise capital, they try and get people to invest in their deals. And week after week, you see people on that show and they're bringing ideas that they really developed at their kitchen table. You know, but you got to get past that fear. Once you get past that fear, you can do anything. You know, and, you know, it's interesting in Trigger's, you know, when you talk about Trigger Gum and what he's done, and, you know, as he says, it's if you can't accomplish it as a stuntman without first being told they can't do it. And he said, where would the fun be if everyone thought they can do it? You know, it's interesting. He pressed on, he grew up, developed into a world record holding Daredevil. It happened on May 14th, 2005 in Australia where he broke the record, the world record, jumping on a CR 500. Now, many people may not know what a CR 500 is, but it is an interesting motorcycle. I mean, you know, listen, it's a 225 pound 500cc motorcycle, and the guy did it, and he broke the world record, and he broke the world record and surpassed his childhood idol of Evel Knievel. Now, if you think about that, you know, everyone has idols. Everyone's out there, and they have, whether you're in business and you work in corporate America. And, you know, me as an entrepreneur, you know, when I was growing up and I started in the business, you know, and eventually I got to the point, and I understand how Trigger felt. And when he gets on the line, we're going to talk about it. But, you know, I sat at the conference table with guys like John Chambers, who's the chairman of Cisco Systems. You know, Fred Smith, who was the chairman and CEO and founder, started a small company named Federal Express. Sat at the conference table with him. I mean, that's a big deal when you're an entrepreneur starting from nothing. You know, Mark Cuban. I remember when Mark Cuban came into a conference room and said, broadband is where it's at. And, you know, he worked for Motorola. I was doing business with Motorola, and everybody looked at him and he said, broadband? What are you talking about? We don't even know what the word means. Well, he started a small company called Broadband.com, and now he's a billionaire. Right, Jim? Amazing. Right. Absolutely
Tom,
amazing.
How are you?
Great. We got Jim Totten on the air with us also. So Mark started that. I mean, amazing. Here's a guy who just started from nothing. And then, you know, I sat at the table as an entrepreneur with guys like Donald Trump. Right? I mean, our president and chief commanding officer of the United States of America. You know, as an entrepreneur, it's amazing. But, you know, when you got a guy like Trigger, and he's got Evel Knievel, his idol, in front of him, it's absolutely amazing. You know, and, you know, it's interesting because when you read about him and you talk to him, and I've talked to him before, he talks about how most people want to see a crash. And I find that interesting because in business, you know, when you're an entrepreneur and you start businesses and you start companies, you know, you got a lot of cheerleaders, but there's a lot of people that actually want to see you crash because they feel like if you crash, you know, then it makes them feel more comfortable that they didn't spend the time to succeed themselves. So it puts you in their category. You know, we're gonna take a commercial break here, and we're gonna get Trigger on the line, and we're gonna ask him some questions. The phone lines will be open, and we'll get him on the line, and we'll talk all about his career and how he felt, and you know, and what goes through his mind being a daredevil. We'll be back.
And we're back, high above the towers of Madison Square Garden. We are back with real estate, automotive, business, and finance serial entrepreneur, Mr. Go Big or Go Home himself, Mr. Tom Maioli. For more information, visit Tom's website, tommaioli.net. Tom, back to you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. And we're here tonight with special guest, Daredevil, motorcycle Daredevil, Trigger Gum. Trigger, are you on the line?
Yeah, I am.
Trigger, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. And, I got to tell you, you amaze me. There's no other words I have to tell you because, we're going to start because obviously my whole show is about, getting people out and to follow their dreams and just believing that they can do what they do. And, it's absolutely amazing because I started this show before you got on the phone and I talked about what makes people have no fear of risk. What makes an entrepreneur have no fear of risk, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I do this every day. And, I watch what you do. And I have to tell you, I grew up probably in the same era as you. And I'm I was always a big-time Evel Knievel fan. I have his boots, his helmet, his motorcycle. I bought them in memorabilia auctions, and absolutely amazing. But what you do and on a daily basis is absolutely amazing. The king of go big or go home. And the theory is that we would all accomplish many more things if we did not think of them as impossible. And, it's amazing, but I've got so many questions for you, and we have callers calling in, and I appreciate your time, and thank you for calling in. But, first to just start this off, what goes in the mind of Trigger Gum when you're ready to jump the length of a football field? The crowd's roaring. It quiets down. The motorcycle's running. You got the helmet on. You're heading to the ramp. What goes through your mind?
It's just basically, you have a dream when you're a kid, and then you work on that dream, and you build up in steps. And by the time, I was going for, world record jumps and 300-foot jumps and stuff like that, I had done all the homework and all the hard work and all the dedication, had my mind in the right spot, and I was 100% confident. And so what was going through my head is just, let's do this. It's like, I've already done it, done the practice, done the homework, done everything, got all my cards in, and then, just commit. You got to commit.
Listen, you said something that's very important. Last week we had our Sheeta Furman on the phone, who holds the most Guinness Book of World Records holds the Guinness Book of World Records for breaking the most Guinness Book of World Records, and we talked about it. And he talks how he meditates and he lets it go and he hands it up to a higher power. Is that what you do, or is it just, when you're ready to go and you hit that throttle and you're heading to the ramp, it's game time? Is it just go, or do you just let go of it mentally?
Well, at that point, when you're at that level of whatever you're doing, it's pretty much everything comes to you. You don't have to really think about it. It just comes natural. So basically, you got, for instance, you're going to hit a ramp at 94 miles an hour. So you're going to be on that ramp, 3/4 of a second. It's 22 feet high, and that'll send you exactly 300 feet. So it's just something that you go through, and you've done all your homework. You've done it, all your physical, your mental, and you basically just need to go and do it, and not think about the consequences, because the consequences are just, you just got to put that completely out of your mind.
No, and listen,
consequences are pretty much death.
Exactly. Well, listen, your consequences are much greater than mine. Obviously, mine are financial, but as an entrepreneur, and I sit there on a daily basis, and people say to me, "How do you do what you do?" And I sign bank notes and I borrow money from banks, and I have, and you leverage yourself, and if one thing doesn't work, the world comes crumbling down and you're broke, you're bankrupt. And, it's happened to many, many, many financial guys, many, many entrepreneurs. And, I understand that you just put it out of your mind. You can't think about what could happen, because the reality of it is then you'll never achieve the goal.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. If you actually think about all the mechanical things that could go wrong, a chain, this, that, it's a mechanical component that you're actually riding, ramp, distance. You even got to think about, humidity and a gust of wind and stuff like that. So it's a lot, exactly like being an investor. You got to do all your homework, put all the pieces together. Even the smallest little 5-cent little part can kill you. So it's on a lot of different levels. It's almost exactly like doing investing or, the game of life.
Absolutely. Listen, I love it, the game of life, because that's really what we're talking about here. We're not talking about business. We're not talking about jumping. We're talking about the game of life. Question for you, and we're going to have callers calling in with some questions. And, again, I appreciate your time, and hopefully you watch the football games tonight. But, they talk about – I hear people – because I hear the same thing. I hear people say to me, well, it's easier for you to make it than it was for the guys 20 years ago because you have technology and they didn't have technology, and you have this and they didn't have this, and you have a software program and they didn't have that. And I'm sure you've heard, in what you do is, well, Evil was on an XR 750 Harley Davidson, which was 300 pounds, and you're on a Honda 500, which is only 225 pounds, which is a dirt bike and has a better suspension. I don't believe in it. I don't buy into it. But what do you feel about that?
That's a pretty funny question, because me and Evil were pretty good friends. Once I came back from Australia and achieved my goals, I got a phone call from my hero, Evil Knievel. Evil Knievel, left on my answering machine. He left a message saying, "This is Evil Knievel. Trigger, you give me a call when you get this." So, I know about Evil Knievel. I had the toys. I had the exact same thing you had as a childhood, the little wind-up toy, and I played with the toy every day. I loved the toy. You wind the toy up, and it makes the jump. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, you'll like this one. So, basically, he called me up, and I go, yeah. So I call him, and I go, is Robert Knievel there? And he goes, who, the blank is this? And I'm like, this is Trigger Gum. You called me. I'm the guy that just broke the world record in Australia. And he goes, Trigger, don't you ever call me Robert. I'm Evil Knievel. And if I had the bike that you have today, I would jump twice as far as you.
That's hysterical.
Laughing. And I'm like, it's just everybody's got a different opinion, but still you got to go out and do that same job that he did.
Absolutely.
So it was just as risky for me to do it as it was him.
Amen. I agree. I totally agree.
We're both on the same level.
There's no doubt. And I think you know what? I actually think it's harder for you because you followed in his footsteps. You had to live up to him. And, I think that's harder because everyone's looking at what he did and everyone's looking at him, and they're scrutinizing and every single thing that you do, and they're criticizing it, and they're ripping it apart. And, it's so simple for people to sit in the audience and watch. And I get this all day long as an entrepreneur. People watch, they have their opinions and they have their comments, but at the end of the day, it's about rolling up your sleeves and getting in the game. It's exactly what you did, and it's absolutely amazing. We're going to take a commercial break. If you could just hang on the line, we have callers, we have some more questions for you. You're absolutely amazing and the king of Go Big. Stand by, and we'll be right back.
And high above the towers of Madison Square Garden, we are back. This segment is brought to you by Celebrity Motorcar of New Jersey, the largest luxury car dealer in the Northeast, with Lexus of Route 10, BMW of Springfield, Mercedes-Benz of Golden's Bridge, Maserati of Morris County, and Maserati of Bergen County, and Alfa Romeo stores. Come visit us. Check out www.celebritymotorcar.com. And the phone lines are open for the show. If you want calls in for Trigger Gum, call 1-800-848-9222. Tom, back to you.
Jim, thanks. And we're here with special guest, motorcycle daredevil, Trigger Gum, world record breaker, Guinness Book of World Record breaker, broke Evil Knievel's records. Trigger, thanks for your time. Thanks for being on. Question I have for you is, because I got this as a kid, as an entrepreneur. I never went to college and barely got through high school, but I was reading up on you, and it's absolutely amazing. You got, this dumb kid. You're never going to do anything. There's no way you're going to make it. Tell me about that.
Well, I just think that anybody that wants anything, whether it be basketball, financial wealth, anything you could possibly think of, if you have the drive and the willing to do the hard work, you can achieve anything.
Amen. Amen.
I got an 8-year-old little boy, and I never played ball sports. My dad I lived at the beach. He got me a surfboard and a motorcycle when I was a kid, and he had to make money And basically, so I'm learning how to play baseball, and I was just giving him a pep talk, like, if you want it bad enough and you put in the hard work, you can achieve anything in life.
Well, it's interesting. Number one, thank God your dad got you the motorcycle, obviously, because we wouldn't be on the air tonight. But no, it's I always say it's about desire. I don't know if you had a chance, but there's a movie about Ray Kroc. How he started McDonald's and he built the company, and at the end, the movie, I keep saying the movie ends, and it's Ray Kroc's face, and he talks about desire, and it's all about desire. If you have the desire, you everything else goes away, because there's no. I always say, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, I got thousands of employees. I'll hire someone with desire rather than someone with education, because when you have desire, you can run through a brick wall. There's nothing that could stop you.
Yeah, amen. And my world records are, a tribute to that. All I could think about when I was a kid, and I did have that poster of Evel Knievel up on my wall, and I didn't look at him as an idol. I look at him like, man, that's my competition. I'm going to actually do something bigger and better than that dude.
It's amazing. No, it's interesting because as an entrepreneur growing up, and I started my companies, and I've bought and sold and built businesses, and have done real estate deals, and I have a real estate company. And before you got on the air, we talked about it. And I idolized guys like Donald Trump was an idol of mine as a kid, and then I'm doing business deals with him. And then you got guys like John Chambers, who was the chairman of Cisco Systems, and Mark Cuban, who's now on national billionaire, owns a basketball team, is on major television. These guys, to me, those were idols. Obviously Evel was an idol, but tell me, I've been at the table with these guys. I know what that feels like. You get there and you say to yourself, I've made it. I'm here. I'm sitting in the same room as now the commander in chief of our United States of America. I'm doing a deal with him. I'm Mark Cuban. I'm at the table with Mark Cuban. I remember when he started his company. He came in. He was working for Motorola. I was servicing Motorola. He walked in and he talked about broadband.com, and he was starting a company, and everything was going to go broadband. And everyone said, "What are you talking about? No, we don't even know what you're talking about." Now the guy's a billionaire. And so I get it. So tell me about your jump. Your idol's Evel Knievel. You wanted to be a daredevil. Everyone told you you're a dumb kid. You're not going to do anything. You're never going to get anywhere. Obviously, you showed them all wrong. And now comes the day, and you're going to do a jump in front of Evel. Tell me about how you feel.
Well, he hit me up after I jumped in Australia and invited me up to Butte, Montana every year, the last weekend in July. They have Evel Knievel days, and he offered, he wanted me to come out and jump for him. And it was just super cool to, like, full circle meet the guy, just like you say, you wanted to be a billionaire, and next thing you know, you're around all these billionaires at the table. I went up there and just had dinner with them, met my idol. Unfortunately, he had a super big ego, and he really wasn't that humble.
Yes, yeah, I'm aware of that.
Was kind of a letdown, but, I became pretty good friends with him, ended up getting baptized at the Crystal Cathedral on the Power of Hour with Schuler, and I don't know, it's just super weird. It was almost like kind of a dream,
Right. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's surreal. You're sitting there. I'll never forget, I was sitting in Donald Trump's conference room in his office, and it's surreal. I mean, it's just amazing. It's, you say to yourself, how did I get here?
Yeah. And then that just opened up a bunch of more doors to do a bunch of things and, travel around the world. And I made millions of dollars, and I spent millions of dollars, and met, thousands of people, and just had a super good time. That's
amazing.
Just out of just a dream became this crazy life,
Trigger Heights, Jim Totten. A quick question for you. So when you started out then, what was like your first jumps? You're a beach guy in California. So where did you start out jumping? What were some of the things you did?
Basically, I live in San Clemente, California.
Right.
And
Richard
the
Nixon.
foothills rest up, abreast Camp Pendleton Naval
Right,
Base, where
sure.
you can't build any homes or anything like that. So the hills out there were just wide open for us to ride. And it just started just, little gaps, and then started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the Crusty Demons of Dirt video guys were doing snowboard videos. They decided we had this little free ride movement in Southern California, which eventually turned into freestyle motocross. And just was there at the very beginning, started basically just going big in front of just friends. And then, a guy wanted to make a video, and that was the original Crusty Demons. And then it just escalated into getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally, one of my friends, Anthony Kappa, goes, "Trig, you need to actually build a ramp and go for the record."
Well, Tom and I were talking beforehand, and we were saying we both rode motorcycles, right, Tom? Mine was a Honda 350, and then I jumped up to that 550 bike that you used, right, Tom? And,
amazing.
It's amazing to think those are the bikes you were using.
No, absolutely amazing. As you talk about Trigger, you talk about something very interesting, because I've had a lot of athletes on my show. I'm friends with athletes. I'm friends with a lot of national football players and baseball players and hockey players, and and you talk about everything hurts. Right? It's everything. You've broken so many bones in your body, and I've watched some of your jumps, and I honestly, I don't want to watch the ones when you fell. We'll talk about those, but I hate to watch those. I love to see you land and succeed and make it. But you talk about everything hurts. What do you do about that?
Well, I've broken a lot of bones. I've broken 129 bones in my body.
Wow. I don't think I've broken a bone in my body. That is absolutely amazing.
But anything that hurts, in your body, what I do is you don't even really know that you have anything hurt until you hurt it, You don't realize you have an elbow until you hurt your elbow,
Right.
So what I do is basically I just try to, if it hurts, I'm alive, and I just try to Jedi mind trick myself into making it feel good.
Mind trick, I love it. Mind trick yourself, theater of the mind. It's all about your mind. I say life is 90% mental, 10% physical, and I love it. Mind trick yourself.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just go crazy,
Right, exactly.
So
what do you? What's next? I'm sure people have told me, and I talk to I ask the same question to every one of my guests. When do you stop? What's next? I mean, I know my answer. My answer is I don't stop. It's a journey. I keep going. And people say, "Well, you have enough money. Why would you want to take that risk?" Well, I don't see it as risk. I see it as opportunity. To me, it's what I do.
Yeah, you're constantly evolving into different things and stuff like that. So it's like you never really can, retire or whatever. I mean, I took some years off and I was just going crazy in the house. So I started. I'm an operating engineer, and so I've been moving dirt for a little while. But now I'm kind of getting bored of that, and I'm thinking that the Daredevil life could reappear here real quick.
Right, exactly. And, it's interesting because I was also, you talk about how the fire is still burning and it's the flame, it's still there, and it's not for the fame and it's not for the money.
Yeah. Well, like anything in life, it's like, when you're traveling and you're living out of the suitcase and you're doing all that, the grass always looks greener on the other side. But once you get on the other side, you're like, oh, the grass looks greener over there,
Right, exactly.
Anybody that's motivated, I think we all think alike,
So obviously it sounds like there's more. You got your mind's brewing. You're thinking about getting back on a motorcycle and jumping again. Do you practice? Is this something you practice?
Oh yeah. I'm constantly on a bike. Whether it's riding with my boys on the street or, I did a halftime Speedway show the other night. They had Nobby night. Went out there with Seth Inslow and a couple other of the boys, Josh Hill. and did like a halftime, flat track. But once you ride a motorcycle, it's just something that you do. I go out with the fellas on Sunday to the local track and do motos and keep in shape, and it's something that I'll probably do till I pass.
Till the day you die, exactly. It's part of the journey. We're going to take a commercial break. If you can hang on, we got a few more questions when you come back. It's Tom Maioli, Go Big or Go Home. Phone lines are open. It's 1-800-848-9222. We have Trigger Gum, Motorcycle Daredevil on the phone. We'll be back in a few minutes.
And we're back, high above the towers of Madison Square Garden, which, by the way, Tom, next week is the Grammy Awards, and I think we have some special announcements for that.
We definitely do. We got some special guests coming on next week, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Next week's show is going to be it's going to be incredible. It's the energy level is going to be off the charts. But we're gonna talk a few more minutes here because we have Motorcycle Daredevil Trigger Gum on the phone. Amazing world record breaker. Trigger, you back?
Yeah.
How you doing? Thanks for your time. Thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And we talked about this, what makes people have no fear of risk? What makes an entrepreneur have no fear of risk? I look at it as all the same. I understand exactly what you do. Clearly, your risk is death. Right? And, you talked about how there's only certain people you can talk to about that understand it. Evil was one of them. And I'm sure that's where the bond came in. There's certain people that I could talk about my risk. I could have conversations. I go to family parties and I go, I meet friends and you meet them out for a drink or you go to dinner with them and you start talking about the risk and they don't understand it. They'll never get it because they're not standing in your shoes. Before we went for a commercial break, you talked about, it's never over. It's a journey. You continue. What's next? You clearly have something that's brewing in your mind. What's next? Where do you go? What do you do?
Well, I think what's next for me is I ended up getting hurt down in Costa Rica. But before I got hurt, I built a Harley-Davidson jump bike. And it's been sitting in my garage all ready to go for a little while, and
I'll bet you stare at it every night.
Yeah, every time I go by it, it looks a little bit more friendly. So I think what's next for me is actually to throw my leg over a Harley and try to go for the Harley-Davidson world record.
Wow, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. It's interesting because I have what I call a vision board in my office. Every deal I'm working on, everything I'm going to build, every real estate deal I'm working on, whatever it is, I have them, taped up, pinned up on the wall. I look at them daily. It drives me. It's like I know that's the end goal. That's what it's going to look like. That's where I'm going. That's what I'm going to do. It doesn't matter how bad the day is. What issues you have to deal with employees and payroll and insurance and lawsuits. The vision is still there. So I get it. When you go in that garage and you look at that Harley Davidson, it must be an amazing feeling to say, I still have it. It's still there. The fire's still burning. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, once I had that thing built, and I was basically 2 months out of going for Seth Inslow's Harley Davidson. He's got the Harley Davidson world record right now, which is like 170 feet. And I was going to go for 200 plus, and it's definitely been on my mind for a while. I just the planets haven't aligned and got the right show to do. Everything's got to align, for the perfect jump, the perfect situation, the perfect, everything to be perfect. And it's got to be perfect to do something like that.
Trigger, how do you feel physically at this point to be able to attempt something like that?
I'm out of all the stuff that's went, through my body and stuff like that. I'm pretty much 100%.
Nice.
I'm playing baseball with my kids.
Right.
I jog, surf, and skateboard, and do all the things that I've done my whole life. So I'm 100%.
Fantastic.
Amazing. That's amazing. Great. Amen. So question for you. Well, and I want the entrepreneurs and the people who want to go out there and do things, you know, and build businesses and get out from behind the desk and build wealth and take the risk and really go after their dream to just like hear this. When you finally, because it's important. Everybody's afraid to have that fear, and that's why we talk about this whole show tonight is about how do you have no fear and take away the fear and the risk of the risk. But when you finally do it, you made the jump. You did it, you planned it, you built the motorcycle, you jumped, you landed, and the crowd screaming, you packed up the bike and you're driving home. Tell me what it feels like.
Oh, it's probably one of the best feelings you'll ever feel. Probably like having, you know, being a billionaire, you finally get that last zero, you know. It's like I did it, you know, like it took me, you know, 30 years to achieve this goal, but I stuck with it. And everybody that said that I couldn't do it, I did it. And, you know, I've jumped a motorcycle further than anybody in the history of humanity, you know. So it was a pretty good feeling, you know, and I think it jump-started the whole sport. And out of that, you know, I kind of took under Robbie Madison, which was just some kid that nobody even heard of.
No one heard of him.
Let him use my ramp, my technology to do a world record in Australia when I did the overall world record. And he's taken it and run with it pretty good and kind of built, you know, another generation of daredevils to follow in my footsteps. And hopefully, you know, he'll do that for some other little kid that needs the support and, you know,
absolutely
calculated risk. Like, here it is. Here's all my math and stuff. Here's the calculated risk. You ready to take it? There it is.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm a big believer in giving back, and that's great. Obviously, you got a big heart, and that's what it's about, giving back and letting somebody that's coming along, you know, take your information and take your knowledge. But it clearly sounds like you have one more in you, you know, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Honestly, when it comes up, I want you to reach out to me because I want to be at that. I want to be at that jump, that one more, because I know what it is to achieve. I've been there. I know when you get in the car and you drive home and my deal's done and I worked so long on it. I worked 2 years on the deal and it finally got done and closed. And it's, you know, it's kind of, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but it is. But you look back and you say, oh my God, I can't believe I did it. I stuck with it. Congratulations. You're amazing. You're a legend. You are the definition of go big or go home. I appreciate your time tonight. I appreciate you calling in. We're going to have to start winding down the show, but definitely get in touch with me. I want to be at that next jump that you have, because clearly it sounds like you still have it in you, and I love that you still have it in you. And we're gonna wind it down, and we appreciate your time. And you know, we're gonna leave everyone out there with something that I leave them with every week, and I always say, go with your gut. Take the leap of faith that tells you your gut is 1,000% right. When everyone else is telling you you're crazy, you're out of your mind. It'll never work. You can't hit the ball unless you swing the bat. I wish everyone out there all the success in the world, and may you stand firm on your beliefs, maintain your morals and values, and never give up on your dreams. And always remember that winners never quit and quitters never win. Jim, we look forward to next week. Next week's going to be a big week with the Grammys.
I was going to say, Tom, check your website, tommaioli.net, and WABC Radio's website as well for special announcements coming up this week. We're right here at Madison Square Garden, so we're going to be doing some special things for the Grammy. So it should be very exciting.
No, it's going to be an amazing show. And Trigger, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Trigger.
Thank you for all of your insight. I'm sure you've helped out tons of people that listen to the show. It's absolutely amazing. I want to be at that jump. Please stay in touch.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all your time, and thank you for, you know, you kind of made me kind of motivated to kind of achieve my next goal and, you know, get that Harley Davidson, you know, that American-made motorcycle up and over.
Listen, that's what
out there, thank you.
That's what my show's about. It's about motivating people, and clearly it's working. You know, listen, I see it now. I see on the tank, somewhere on your jacket, I want the Go Big or Go Home logo. I want to sponsor you. It's Go Big or Go Home by Tom Aioli on Trigger Gum's outfit when he makes this next jump.
You know what? I definitely live by your mottos, go big or go home. I've said it a million times, and I'll probably say it another million times. But you got a really good catchphrase. And thanks, everybody, for listening.
That's great.
And all my fans, thank you. And everybody, thank you.
Looking forward to it. Again, I want to have that logo on your next jump outfit or on the tank of their motorcycle. I want to be there and look forward to hearing from you. It's Go Big or Go Home. Tom Maioli. We'll see you next week with the Grammys. Big night, next Sunday night, 7 p.m.
exciting.
Join us. Very exciting. Jim Totten will be
Thanks,
here.
Tom.
Grammys right under us in Madison Square Garden. It's going to be a bonanza.